My name is Daniel Dan Whitmore. And the day my father was laid out in a closed casket at St. Joseph Catholic Church in Fort Collins, my rich brother walked in late with the woman who left me 9 years ago. She leaned close, perfume sharp as a blade, and whispered, "So I guess I won right. You're still poor." I didn't flinch because I knew what was about to happen next. The church smelled like lies and burnt coffee. Somebody had set out those big silver urns in the fellowship hall. Early like caffeine could patch over grief. Outside, the Colorado air had that clean bite to it. The kind that makes your nose sting the second you step out of the car. Inside it was all muffled sounds, coats brushing the soft coughs people do when they don't know where to put their hands. The squeak of old wooden pews as folks slid in. Emily stood beside me, her fingers warm in mine. My wife, 49, calm eyes, the kind of woman who doesn't feel silence just because it's there. She wore a simple black dress and a wool coat she'd had for years. No flashy jewelry, no performance. My mother sat 2 pews up, shoulders rounded, staring at the front like if she stared hard enough, she could change what had happened. Dad, Robert Whitmore, had died at 82. Heart quick, they said. Merciful, they said. I'd learned a long time ago that people say merciful when they don't know what else to say. And then the back doors opened. A gust of cold slipped in with them, and with it came Mark. My brother, Mark Whitmore, 58, tech consultant startup, advisor. Whatever title sounded best on a given day. Strolled down the center aisle like he owned the building. He was dressed in a dark suit that fit too perfectly to be off the rack, and his shoes shone like he'd polished them in the parking lot. He didn't hurry, didn't duck his head, didn't look like a man coming to bury his father. He looked like a man arriving at a charity gala. Lauren was on his arm. Lauren Price, 52 now, the woman I'd nearly married. In black dress that probably cost more than my first car hair done in that effortless way that takes an hour lips the color of dried roses. She'd always been good at looking like she belonged in rooms she didn't build. Heads turned. I felt it ripple through the pews the way a sudden draft moves through tall grass. Whispers started right away. "That's Mark. He made it." Of course he did. "Who's that with him?" And then softer, nastier, "Dan's here too. I heard he's still with the city." Mark always lands on his feet. The old familiar feeling tried to climb up my throat. The one that says, "You're the smaller man in your own family story." I swallowed it down. I wasn't 45 anymore. I wasn't standing in my kitchen watching my life crack open like a drop plate. Mark stopped at the end of our pew. He looked at me like he was checking an item off a list. "Dan," he murmured, polite enough for church. "Thanks for coming." He held his hand out, firm, confident, like we were business acquaintances. I stared at it for a beat too long. Not out of drama, out of habit. My body still remembered what that hand had taken from me. Then I shook it once and let go. "Mom asked," I said. Mark's smile tightened. "Right?" Lauren leaned in, eyes sweeping over Emily first, quick assessing the way she used to scan a room, and then landing on me. I saw the flicker of recognition, followed by that little lift at the corner of her mouth. The same expression she'd had 9 years ago when she set my engagement ring on the counter like she was returning something that didn't fit. "It's been a long time," she said. Emily's grip on my hand didn't change. She didn't squeeze harder. She just stayed like a steady hand on the small of your back when you're stepping off a curb. "Not long enough," I said, quiet. Lauren let out a soft laugh like I told a joke. "Still bitter." "I'm not bitter," I said. "I'm awake." Mark's jaw flexed once. He didn't like that. Mark preferred emotions that could be managed. Mine, not his. The priest's voice began gentle and practiced. People stood, sat, knelt, stood again. All the motions, all the ritual. My mind floated in and out of the words. I watched the way Mom's shoulders shook when the choir sang, "Amazing Grace." I watched Emily lean forward to pass her a tissue without making a show of it. And I watched Mark. He didn't pray. He didn't wipe his eyes. He kept checking his phone in his lap, thumb, moving in short, impatient strokes. At one point, he leaned toward Lauren and whispered something that made her nod quickly, her smile too bright for a funeral. When the service ended, people flowed toward the fellowship hall like they always do. Coffee, cookies, small talk over sorrow. It's what folks our age grew up with. You show up, you eat something, even if you're not hungry. You tell a story about the person who's gone, and for a moment, You make them live again in a sentence. The fellowship hall was warm, too warm. The coffee smelled cheap and strong. Paper plates, store-bought cookies. Somebody had brought a casserole that sat untouched at the end of the table because nobody wants to be the first one to take a scoop at a funeral. I stood with Emily near the back, letting people come to Mom, letting her receive their condolences. Old customers from Dad's hardware stores, a retired contractor, a neighbor from his cold sack, men with calloused hands, and women with careful haircuts. A tall man in a navy blazer approached me with a slow, respectful smile. "Dan Whitmore?" he asked. "Yes," I said, cautious. At a funeral, you don't know if the next words are going to be kindness or another reminder of what you don't measure up to. He stuck out his hand. "Tom Ray's Housing Authority Board. I just wanted to say your dad was a fixture in this town, and I appreciate what you've done for the East Malbury project. Those families are finally stable." His handshake was firm. Not flashy. Working man firm. "Thank you," I said, and I meant it. It was a team effort. Behind Tom, I saw Lauren's head snap toward us. Mark turned, 2 eyes narrowing like he was trying to place why that name mattered. Tom continued, "We're meeting next month about the next phase. I'll reach out. And Dan, seriously, thank you." When he walked away, the air around me felt different, like the room had shifted a degree. Lauren drifted over heels, clicking on the tile. Mark followed half a step behind like he didn't want to but couldn't stop himself. "Well," Lauren said, drawing the word out, "look at you. Still doing your projects." I could smell her perfume again. Expensive, floral, sharp. It took me right back to a night 9 years ago when that scent was on my pillow after she walked out with her suitcase. "You're still driving that practical car," she added, eyes flicking toward the parking lot as if she'd already checked. "I drive what I trust," I said. "I don't buy things to convince people." Her smile faltered just a hair. Not because my words were cruel, because they didn't land where she wanted them to. She wanted me defensive, embarrassed, small. Mark leaned in slightly, voice low. "Since when are you on boards with people like that?" I looked at him, really looked. The suit was perfect, but the skin around his eyes was tired. His smile was a mask he'd worn too long. "Since I stopped trying to impress the wrong audience," I said. Lauren's eyes sharpened. "So, I guess I won, right?" She whispered close enough that her breath touched my ear. "You're still poor." For half a second, my chest tightened. Not because the words were new, because my body remembered the old wound. Then I heard Mom's quiet sob behind us. I felt Emily's presence at my side, steady, real, and something in me settled. I turned and met Lauren's gaze. Not angry, not pleading, just level. "Depends what you think winning costs," I said. Her brow creased. She didn't understand. And that was the point.